Okay, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah, amma ba'd. So inshallah tonight we're going to talk about a story that you find in the Quran, in actually two places in the Quran, and that is the story of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. In English, you could say Gog and Magog, but the Arabic, and not only the Arabic actually, this word and these people have been mentioned by other traditions, like it is mentioned in Greek, and the pronunciation in Old Greek is also similar to the Arabic, Ya'juj and Ma'juj. You look in English, it's not Yagog, it's Gog, so they dropped the first part of the word. So this is a story, and some people might have also a myth attached to the story as well. So inshallah today we're going to try and dispel maybe some of the myth and attach ourselves to the correct understanding of who these people are, what they did in the past, and what they will do in the future. I don't know if we have enough time to cover the entire thing, because their story spans the history and the future. Part of it is mentioned, actually what is mentioned in the Quran in Surah Al-Kahf has to do with the past and a bit of the future. But then they're mentioned also in a different place where it talks about the Day of Judgment. And right before the Day of Judgment, what happens when these people will show. Do we have a problem?
No, it's better we can.
Oh, okay.
The other one's covered better, sure.
I assume you all can hear me?
This one.
Okay. So how many of you have heard of Ya'juj and Ma'juj? So I know where we stand here. About 50%. Okay. I'm sure you also have heard of the English term Gog and Magog. Same thing? Okay, good. All right. So the story is mentioned in Surah Al-Kahf mostly. It is also mentioned in some hadith. But also some people think that these are people who are stuck behind a wall. They're stranded there, and they've been there since long time ago, and they are there today, and then they're trying to figure out where they are on earth, because now we can see every part of the earth. There's no hidden part of the earth where we don't know if people in large numbers are stuck. So some Muslims may have this notion that if that's true, then where are these people? And how come no one has found them yet? So how do we Muslims understand that? And they say, well, it's not kind of, unrealistic or something like that. So let us inshallah go over what is in the Quran, and also we'll mention some of the narrations that might give that notion, and if those narrations are true or not. Because in Islam, we're only supposed to follow what is true. So if there's a hadith, for example, a narration from the Prophet, we have to make sure it is true, it is authentic. We cannot accept a weak narration, for example. So the story, you hear about the story primarily in Surah Al-Kahf. Many of you have read Surah Al-Kahf or read it on a regular basis. And the story starts with Dhul-Qarnayn. Now, Dhul-Qarnayn is a person who is mysterious in a way. Like the scholars have debated who this man was. Some people argue he is Alexander the Great. Even some Muslim scholars mentioned that he was Alexander the Great because he was one of the people who had a large army and he conquered a large part of the earth, at least in his time. And when you read the description of Dhul-Qarnayn in this surah, you also find that he was also a very successful military leader. So they say, they must be the same person. In reality, this is not true at all, because if you know history, Alexander the Great was not a pious man. In fact, he was a criminal. He was a war criminal, and he had a lot of other bad qualities. Some of them I would not mention tonight. Dhul-Qarnayn, on the other hand, as you see here, he's a very pious man. In fact, some scholars have said he was a prophet, or he was maybe close to a prophet. So most likely a prophet accompanied him, and he was taking advice from that prophet. So Surah Al-Kahf says, and that's the very end of Surah Al-Kahf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنْ Dhul-Qarnayn. Most likely these people were the Jews. They were asking the Prophet about this man, Dhul-Qarnayn. Now what is qarn in Arabic? Anyone can tell me? A horn. Now in the old days, I mean, there are different possibilities. I mean, either the helmet you wear, some helmets had like 2 horns, or also could be how you make your hair. Like, you know, you could make it to look like 2 horns. So that doesn't matter. This is a description, and in fact, it's not one man. I mean, it does not have to be just one man. Like several people could have been described, like Dhul-Qarnayn, but this one is particular to the story. So this man that is described here is no doubt the pious man we're talking about. Like, he is a very specific individual that conquered a lot of land. So it says they ask you about Dhul-Qarnayn, and we're going to tell you some of that story. إِنَّا مَكَّنَّا لَهُ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَأَتَيْنَاهُ مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ سَبَبًا. He was such a successful military leader. مَكَّنَّا لَهُ فِي الْأَرْضِ, like we have given him like power over the earth. And he was given from every means possible at the time, whatever was available at the time. You know, horses, men, like army, ships, everything you can think about. He's got it all. فأتبع سببا حتى إذا بلغ مغرب الشمس. Also his journeys were very wide on earth. So first of all, he went to the west side. So he kept going on the, you know, toward the west. And then he saw the sun set in the sea, or it says in a ayn hami'ah. So hami'ah, some scholars have said it's like a black well. And some said this could be referring to mud. So then we have different theories. Some people said this could be around the Black Sea and the Turkish area. Also the fact that in some of these areas you see a lot of mud sliding from the mountains. And some said it's like the extent of Africa, because this is how far you could go at the time. You could not go and cross the Atlantic Sea, so you have to stop like where Morocco is today. So that is the extent of the West at the time. Think about it, back then it was the old world, as we say. And he found people over there. قُلْنَا يَا ذَا الْقَرْنَيْنِ إِمَّا أَن تُعَذِّبَ وَإِمَّا أَن تَتَّخِذَ فِيهِمْ حُسْنًا. So Dhul-Qarnayn was given the choice: either you treat these people good because they're good people, or you punish them if they're not good people. And this is how we can tell this guy was a righteous military leader. If it was Alexander, he could have like killed everybody. He could have slaughtered everybody. But this man, he replied, whoever transgressed, then he's going to receive his punishment. And then God will also take care of this man. I mean, whoever transgressed, also Allah will take care of him later on the Day of Judgment. And whoever believed and he did good actions, then he's going to have a good reward. And we're going to treat him well. We're going to speak good to him. وَسَنَقُولُ لَهُ مِنْ أَمْرِنَا يُسْرًا. So this is one tribe, or one type of people that he encountered in the West. Now the Quran doesn't tell us necessarily about all his trips and all his conquests. These are just examples. But you can see how he is treating people. He's treating people fairly. And then he went to the east. Matla' al-Shams, like the rise of the sun. And what he found over there, he found people, it says, لَمْ نَجْعَلْ لَهُم مِّن دُونِهَا سِتْرًا. They had no shelter from the sun. And scholars have different opinions. Some of them said, well, maybe these are people who did not have very good houses. So they could not keep the sun away from them. They could have been Bedouins or people who did not have a very good shelter from the sun. And some have said, but this is not likely, they said he might have gone to the pole, like the North Pole or something, or the South Pole. The South Pole you cannot reach because you need, ships, we don't know. But he went to an area where the sun is there all the time. Like we know now, you go to the North Pole, the sun could be there for like 6 months, right? You don't see the night. It's most likely that he just went to, and met people who did not have a good shelter from the sun. Because it says he went to the east. It didn't say he went north or south. So now he covered the west and the east. The third trip, and here it doesn't tell us directions, but a lot of people, a lot of scholars have assumed that Ya'juj and Ma'juj have come from the north. So a lot of theories that they were the Mongols or they were maybe from the Russian area and they descended south. Like the Tatar and the Mongols. And there are other hadith we're going to talk about later maybe where the Prophet mentions that the Muslims will fight these people, or that the Mongols will invade the Muslim area, as we know happened in the past. So some scholars have made the connection between Ya'juj and Ma'juj and the Mongols. Anyway, when Dhul-Qarnayn arrived to that area, it was actually between two huge mountains, As-Siddain, حتى إذا بلغ بين السدين. So he arrived between two huge mountains, and in between these two mountains, he found people. And these people were not very articulate. They could not speak well. Or maybe people did not understand them well. For example, they had a different language. Maybe they had a foreign language that was hard for people to understand. So it says, لا يكادون يفقهون قولا. They barely understood anyone else. Now again, doesn't mean that they stuttered or something like that. It just meant that other people were not acquainted. They were not familiar with their tongue. They were not familiar with their language. But Dhul-Qarnayn was very smart and he was very eloquent and he could understand those people. That's why they were able to speak to Dhul-Qarnayn. So, قالوا يا ذا القرنين. Okay? So far we have not heard of Ya'juj and Ma'juj yet. These people speaking to Dhul-Qarnayn, they're not Ya'juj and Ma'juj. They're not Gog and Magog. There are other people who were harmed by Ya'juj and Ma'juj. So apparently at the time, Ya'juj and Ma'juj were not good. They were attacking other people. They were killing other people. And they were causing havoc. They were causing problems. So these people complained to Dhul-Qarnayn about Ya'juj and Ma'juj. And they said, Inna Ya'juj wa Ma'juj mufsiduna fil ard. These people are spreading corruption on earth. They are corrupting the earth. And corruption means, like I said, it could be stealing, killing, robbing, and all of that. فَهَلْ نَجْعَلُ لَكَ خَرْجًا. Can we offer you some money so you can protect us from them? We want you to protect us. You're a big military leader, and we want you to protect us from these two tribes. So Ya'juj and Ma'juj, most likely there were two tribes. Some people say one was a man and the other one was a tribe. Most likely these two are two tribes, Ya'juj and Ma'juj. So they said, can we pay you some money? We do whatever it takes. Just keep us away or keep them away from us. Maybe you can erect a wall or like a dam, a separation between us and them. So this is where the idea of the wall came, right? In the Quran, the wall is mentioned. In fact, two words are mentioned, sad and radam, and both could mean wall. A radam could be even a fortified wall. That's what a radam is. So these two words are mentioned in Surah Al-Kahf. Dhul-Qarnayn said, I'm not interested in your money. That's another indication that he was a righteous man. I mean, he didn't want to take advantage of these people. These people wanted salvation from Ya'juj and Ma'juj. They wanted to be spared the harm of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. So Dhul-Qarnayn said, I'm not interested in money. I'll help you for free. قال ما مكنني فيه ربي خير. All I need from you is some help. Just help me out. We all need to collaborate in order to build the wall and separate Ya'juj and Ma'juj from everybody else. فَأَعِينُونِي بِقُوَّةٍ. What I want from you is power and strength. I don't want money, I want power and strength. أَجْعَلْ بَيْنَكُمْ وَبَيْنَهُمْ رَدْمًا. I will create a wall between you and them. And then he said, آتوني زبر الحديد حتى إذا ساوى بين الصدفين قال انفخوا حتى إذا جعله نارا قال آتوني أفرغ عليه قطرا. And that shows us that he had some technology. So he said, bring me some iron, and then they built a huge fire, and they were able to melt the iron, and they created a wall from a combination of things. So they could have had like rocks and iron, and on top of that they also poured melted copper. So the wall became very, very strong. And then it says فَمَا اسْطَاعُوا أَنْ يَظْهَرُوهُ وَمَا اسْتَطَاعُوا لَهُ نَقْبًا. And as a result, Ya'juj and Ma'juj were stuck behind the wall, and they could not climb. They tried to climb, they couldn't. And they tried to penetrate the wall, like to dig in the wall, they could not either. So this is how they were kept behind the wall. They could not climb or dig. And that's how they were kept away from everyone else. So this is what the story is. And some people have assumed that these people have been stuck there ever since, until now. And this notion is not correct. At least this is my opinion, this is my position, and if anyone wants to challenge it, by all means, I would love to do that. Now, of course, there is a reason why some people assume that these people are still there now. Again, obviously, this also goes against what we know, what we observe. You can go all around the earth, you don't find any large number of people. These are big tribes stuck behind a wall anymore. But they said, but according to Quran and Sunnah, that's what it says. So we have to believe in it. And the question is, where is it in the Quran and Sunnah? So here, it doesn't say clearly, it doesn't say that these people were stuck ever. They were stuck at that time, yes. They were kept away from other people at that time, yes. It doesn't say that they're going to be stuck until the Day of Judgment. Now, it says also, so after this verse, Dhul-Qarnayn said, قَالَ هَذَا رَحْمَةٌ مِّن رَبِّي. This is a mercy from my Lord. So he was looking at the wall. After he finished building the wall, he looked at the wall and he said, this is from the mercy of God. Like, it wasn't possible without the help of God. He allowed me to erect this wall of course, with the help of the people as well. And then look what he said. So he made a prophecy. Dhul-Qarnayn, looking at the wall, and that's what makes us think he was like a prophet, or maybe he was aided by a prophet. Someone like Alexander or anyone else would not have been able to prophesize. He could not foretell the future unless he receives revelation. So he looked at the wall and he said, فَإِذَا جَاءَ وَعْدُ رَبِّي جَعَلَهُ دَكَّاءً. When the promise of my Lord comes, listen carefully, he said, when the promise of my Lord comes, he will cause it to crumble. He will shatter it. It will be destroyed. This whole big wall will be destroyed. Indeed, he said, the promise of my Lord is fulfilled. It will happen, no doubt. Now here's the thing. What does that mean when he said, when the promise of my Lord comes true? Some people make the assumption that this is like the Day of Judgment or right before the Day of Judgment. But there's nothing in the ayah that says it has to be at that time. It could be any appointed time by Allah. Like anything around us, anything on earth has an expiration date. Any building you build, any wall, any dam, anything, it has an expiration date. At one time, it will cease to exist. It will be destroyed, it will be ruined, something happens to it. Nothing stands forever. So this could be the promise of Allah. When that day comes, whenever it is, it did not say it will be on the day of judgment or right before the day of judgment. For all we care, it could have been destroyed long time ago. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And this is why it's important when we read the Quran and contemplate to pay attention to every word. Now, this is not just my opinion. I mean, I want to read something from Ibn Kathir because he commented a lot on the story. And Ibn Kathir was a great Shafi'i scholar. He was also a historian. He was a muhaddith, a scholar of hadith. So he had lots of knowledge, especially about history and about the narrations from the Prophet ﷺ. So maybe I'll mention some of what Ibn Kathir mentioned. First of all, some people think that Ya'juj and Ma'juj are some monsters or some giants or something like that. That's not true. Ya'juj and Ma'juj are just people. They are from the descendants of Adam alayhi salam. They're actually from the descendants of Nuh. Who were the sons of Nuh? Anyone knows?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I know one. His name is Ham.
Ham. So, or maybe in English, I don't know. Do they say Ham or Sham? Ham? In Arabic, there's Sam, Ham, and Yafith. In English, there's Sam, all the Semitic people, like the Jewish people and the Arab people, they are from Sam, Semitic, right? And then Ham were all the Africans and all these people. And then Japheth in English, which is Yafith in Arabic, is all like the Europeans and the Turkish people. Now, if you notice, in one of the sons of Japheth, his name is Magog, like right from there, from the beginning. One of the names, one of the sons of Japheth is Magog. So that tells us these are descendants from Nuh alayhi salam, first of all. Ibn Kathir mentioned, he said, يُقال إنهم الترك, like Turkish people. And they are cousins with Ya'juj and Ma'juj. So basically he's saying that this wall separated the Turkish people from Ya'juj and Ma'juj. They were cousins, but they were not on good terms with each other. They were fighting each other. But they are related because all of them came from Yafith or Japheth in English. Now he also said about the promise of Allah when the wall will come down. He said, this is a time that Allah will decree. It does not have to be like on the day of judgment. He said, الوقت الذي قدر الله خروجهم على الناس. It could be the day when Allah has decreed that they will come out. Now here's the thing. I mean, there is no connection between them coming out and the crumbling of the wall, number one. The wall could still exist now, but maybe it's covered. We don't know. We know what happens anywhere on earth. You build something, likely it's going to be covered by mud and by, you might have rocks on top or sand or something like that. So the wall could exist. There's nothing that says that these people have to stay behind the wall all this time. So we have to separate between the existence of the wall and the people behind the wall. These people were harmful at the time. It doesn't mean that they're harmful all the time. If we take the theory that they were the Mongols, because lots of Muslim scholars have assumed that Ya'juj and Ma'juj were the Mongols, for example. And we know at one time the Mongols, they invaded the earth and they destroyed everything in front of them. No one could stand the onslaught of the Mongols. And they basically came over the Middle East. They took over Iraq, for example. They destroyed all of Iraq. And it was said that they killed like 2 million people. Imagine at the time to kill 2 million people, it's not easy. And nowadays, because we have these weapons of mass destruction, as we call them, right? Back then, to kill that many people, you could tell how vicious they were. And they kept going. They took over Syria and all of that. And then they were stopped by the Muslims, by the way. Only the Muslims could stop them. And later the Mongols became Muslim. And some of them became righteous kings and righteous people. So that tells us that even if they were Ya'juj and Ma'juj are not always bad. And this is something about Islam. Islam, we don't go and label a certain ethnicity or a certain people that they're bad people. No, they could be bad at some time because of some behavior. But we don't go and say that all the Oriental, for example, or all the, the people from the north, or all the Mongols, or whoever it is, we never say that these are bad. At one time they were, when they were, invading other countries and attacking people and all of that, yes. So all the hadith you read about the Mongols and that they're going to attack, the Muslims and everything, it was limited to that time. It does not mean that they're going to be bad or evil all the time. And the biggest proof is that many Mongols became Muslim. And they lived with the Muslims. And some of them became, like I said, they became kings for over the Muslim land. But still, why is there this mystery? Why do people think that these people are still stuck behind the wall? There's actually a good reason. There's a hadith that is narrated that many people cling to, and they believe that it is true. So let me tell you the hadith just to tell you that it is not actually true, but I want to mention it so you are aware of it. And this is where a lot of the facts that we think exist about Ya'juj and Ma'juj, this is where it comes from. So this hadith comes from Musnad Imam Ahmad and other sources. It says that it claims that the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wassalam, it says, إِنَّ يَأْجُوجَ وَمَأْجُوجَ لَا يَحْفُرُونَ السَّدَّ كُلَّ يَوْمٍ. That Ya'juj and Ma'juj are digging in this wall every day, up till now. That's what it claims. So again, this is a narration. We'll tell you about it in a minute if it is trusted or not. It's not in the Quran, it is a hadith in Musnad Imam Ahmad. It says they are digging every day. حَتَّى إِذَا كَادُوا يَرَوْنَ شُعَاعَ الشَّمْسِ. And every time they dig, once they're able to see some light from the sun, so they can barely see a ray of light. Imagine you're digging, and you see a ray of light. قال الذي عليهم ارجعوا فاستحفرونه غدا. One of them will say, oh, you guys have worked all day digging, so why not leave? Let's come back the next morning and continue digging. Okay? So every day they dig until they get to a small hole, they see the ray of the sun, and then they say, let's put it off for today, we worked so hard, let's go back, sleep, and come back the next day and continue digging. فَيَعُودُونَ إِلَيْهِ كَأَشَدَّ مَكَانٍ. But every morning when they come back, they see that the hole is gone. Everything they digged has gone. So now they have to do all over again. They start all over again. حتى إذا بلغت مدتهم وأراد الله أن يبعثهم على الناس حفروا حتى إذا كادوا يرون شعاع الشمس قال الذي, let me translate. So it says, until the time comes, the time of their coming out. They will say the same thing. They will say, let's come back the next morning, right? But they will say, Insha'Allah, this time. So now when they come back the next morning, they will see the hole there. So now they can dig even more. Because before they were not able to make any progress. Every time they dig, it goes back to the wall is sealed again. But now that hole was, retained. So then it says this is when they're able to dig themselves out of it. And they will be able to break the wall and come out. And then they go around the water and they drink all the water from the lakes, and you know, a huge thing. وَيَتْحَصَّنَ النَّاسُ مِنْهُمْ فِي حُصُونِهِمْ, and people will seek shelter from them, and these people will shoot arrows in the sky, and the arrows come back with blood on it, and they think they got even the people of the sky. They killed the people of the sky just like they killed the people of the earth. This story is not correct. It sounds, you know, fabulous, mysterious, whatever you call it. And they will say, they will claim, we have conquered the people of the earth, and we also have conquered the people of the sky, the inhabitants of the sky. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send like worms or something that will eat out their necks and something like that. And they will be, they will. Again, the story is not correct. Why is it? Because it has problems. The chain of narration is not strong. Also, it is likely that it was one of the people who converted from Judaism to Islam who narrated that story, Ka'b al-Ahbar. So it's not coming from the Prophet himself, alayhi salam. But this is a story that many Muslims cling to say that these people still exist today and they're still behind the wall because of this narration. But this narration, again, in fact, Ibn Kathir, who is a scholar of Hadith, and he's a very classical scholar. He's not a modernist. You know, some people say, well, this is the modernist way of thinking, that these people don't exist or something like that, or they're not behind the wall. He is a very classical scholar. And he said, فَإِن لَمْ يَكُنْ رَفْعُ هَذَا الْحَدِيثِ مَحْفُوظًا. I know this is a bit technical, but I'll mention it just for the benefit. وَإِنَّمَا هُوَ مَأْخُوذٌ عَنْ كَعْبِ الْأَحْبَارِ كَمَا قَالَ بَعْضُهُمْ. He said, this is taken from Ka'b al-Ahbar. As I said, Ka'b al-Ahbar was a Jew who became a Muslim. But he still narrated from the stories of the Jews. So this came to Muslims from the Jews. It's not from the Prophet ﷺ. All right. Now, what is authentic is another hadith, and people mix up the two. The authentic hadith is actually found in Sahih al-Bukhari. And Sahih al-Bukhari is authentic. No one can doubt the authenticity of Sahih al-Bukhari. But what you see there is not the same hadith. It's a smaller hadith, and it's different. The hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari, it says, the Prophet ﷺ one time woke up. He woke up from a dream. So it's a dream. And he looked upset, like the dream wasn't good. And he was saying, like when he woke up, he said, La ilaha illallah, waylun lil Arab min sharrin qad iqtarab. He said, woe to the Arabs from an evil that is coming near them. And then he said, فتح اليوم من ردم يأجوج ومأجوج مثل هذه. Today, a small hole from the wall of Ya'juj and Ma'juj was opened. So first of all, we have to understand, this is actually a dream. And dream has interpretations. It's not like reality, number one. Number two, he was talking about something of the future. That yes, the Ya'juj and Ma'juj will come and attack the Arabs in the future. And we know, like we said, this happened, and many Muslim scholars said these were the Mongols. This is not, I mean, it doesn't have to be an actual wall here. It just says that a small harm from Ya'juj and Ma'juj will come to the Arabs, will touch the Arabs. That's all it says. So it's not talking about the wall crumbling or anything like that. So these are two separate things. In fact, Ibn Kathir himself said, this is like a symbolic. This is إشارة إلى فتح أبواب الشر والفتن. This is like an indication that the door of evil and tribulation will be opened. When he said this thing will open, it means that the door of evil will be opened upon them. And we know a lot of evil, like I said, happened to the Arabs and the Muslims at the time because of the Mongol onslaught. Anyways, I don't want to take a lot of time because I think this is a long topic. So maybe I'll stop here because I want to hear your questions. And next time, I'll cover the other half where we talk about the Day of Judgment and what will happen before the Day of Judgment, because Ya'juj and Ma'juj will have a comeback, right? And we'll talk about all the narrations related to the signs of the hour, because Ya'juj and Ma'juj are from the great signs of the hour. Also, there's another verse in a different surah that mentions the coming out of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Okay? حتى إذا فتحت, like they are let open, the floodgates, if you will, of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. So we need to talk about that and what it means. That's a different area, and I don't want to mix up the two. So I think it's better to stop here, and maybe if you have any questions, and maybe next time we'll talk about the sign of the hour and the fact that the Ya'juj and Ma'juj are from the sign of the hour. Yes.
Wait, so when you like the story when Ya'juj and Ma'juj come and Isa alayhi salam retreats, is that authentic or?
Yes. So when Ya'juj and Ma'juj come, we should say, and Jesus and his followers retreat to the mountains. Yes, it is true. Well, we're going to talk about it next time, inshallah, in detail. But let's say yes for now.
So do Ya'juj and Ma'juj cause the extinction of humanity?
No, it doesn't say that they're going to cause the extinction of humanity. It doesn't say that. No doubt they are large in number. That's true. But there's nothing that indicates that they're like zombies or, that they're, monsters or giants or anything like that. They're humans. In fact, Ibn Kathir said it more than once. He said, for example, وَالصَّحِيحِ أَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَنِي آدَمْ وَعَلَى أَشْكَالِهِمْ وَصِفَاتِهِمْ. The true opinion that they are from the sons of Adam, and they have the same shape, the same form, the same attributes. They are human beings. They're nothing like of any other sort.
So are Ya'juj and Ma'juj? I heard like, I don't know how physics is, but how correct it is, but I heard that Ya'juj and Ma'juj's numbers are similar to like the numbers of ants on the earth.
Is the number of Ya'juj and Ma'juj like the number of the ants on earth? Well, I don't know. I don't remember any narration that says they are like the number of the ants, but we know they are very large in number. But maybe wait till next time, because I want to have an introduction next time, like who these people are. Who were they across history? Now, nowadays, some people, you probably heard of the controversy on Ya'juj and Ma'juj now going on with Sheikh Yasir Qadi and people who are trying to refute him. And some of them are saying, well, some scholars of the past have theorized that these people were the Mongols. What's wrong with that interpretation? Because in their mind, they think that these people are some giants, and maybe the scholars of the past tried to make ta'wil and interpret them to be the Mongols, but it's not. Now we know it's not true. Who said that? Keep in mind, these people are from the sons of Adam, they're human beings, and across history, they could have been good people at some time. This is what a lot of people don't get. They think these are bad people from the beginning till the end. They think they are non-human, or they have some superpowers of some form. And this has no foundation whatsoever. Yes, you had something in the back? I thought you raised your hand. I could be wrong. Yes?
If the water is crumbled, then where would they go?
Like I said, these people were bad at some point. But then later, they could have become good people. Like we said, many of the Mongols became Muslim, and they could have spread on earth again. Because now we know, the wall could have been covered. We don't know. They could have just went somewhere else, and they spread, intermingled with other people. In fact, I did not mention that, but the ayah, the next ayah says, وَتَرَكْنَا بَعْضَهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ يَمُوجُ فِي بَعْضٍ. It says that they will intermingle with other people in the future. Some scholars have said, well, they intermingle with each other, like Ya'juj and Ma'juj are intermingling with each other, but that doesn't make a lot of sense, because they could have intermingled from the beginning. They were together all along. This means that eventually they will intermingle with other people. Now, some scholars have said this could be referring to globalization, because today we have all the cultures coming together, intermingling together. There were no more separations, no more walls like we had in the past. If you study history, you notice that every culture, every civilization was separated from other cultures, from other civilizations. Now, the sending of Prophet Muhammad, by the way, alayhi salatu wasalam, was one of the first indicators that we're going to have a global system, because Prophet Muhammad was sent to everyone. Prophet Muhammad was not just sent to his people like the other prophets. So that's the first indication that we're going to have globalization, that one idea could spread all over the earth. This was the beginning of it. Of course, now we have much, much more of it. Yes? Mm-hmm.
What is like the difference of the names Ya'juj and Ma'juj?
What is the difference between the names Ya'juj and Ma'juj? Well, so some scholars have tried and find the root of the word Ya'juj and Ma'juj, and some of them said Ya'juj from Ajja. In Arabic it means when the fire spreads, like Ajij, right? But this is not true, because the origin of the word is not Arabic, and most likely it's just a name, just like your names is something, like could be Ahmad, Ali, John, whatever. It doesn't have to have like an actual meaning. It's just a name. So we don't know. It doesn't come from a language I understand, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. It's just the name of a tribe. Most likely it originated with a name of a person. Like we said, Magog or Ma'juj could have been the son of Japheth. What is the meaning of Japheth? I don't know. What is the meaning of Ham or Sam? I don't know. Likewise, we don't know the meaning of Magog or Gog or Ya'juj. You had a question?
So like when you said the wall it'll like crumble, what do you mean like it'll fall? And like how do you mean like, or like when you said the Ma'juj and Ma'juj, and like do you mean like are these true people, or like there's like a society of people?
It's a society of people. That's a large number. So these are like two tribes. The tribe is like a large number of people.
And also you said that they took over the whole land. When you said the wall is gonna crumble, nothing stands forever, what did you mean?
Okay, it's a good question. How do I answer that? So I was trying to explain when I said the promise of God. When the promise of God comes, the wall will crumble. And I'm saying, what does it mean when we say the promise of God? And I said, the promise of God is that everything that stands shall crumble. That is a promise of God. So everything that we build has an expiration date. At one time, it will fall. Any building, any wall, any bridge, it will survive, it will live for a time, or it will be there for a time, and then it will fall down. So that's what I mean. The promise of God is whenever the time comes for something to disappear, to fall, to disintegrate. Yes?
Oh yeah, but do you know how Ya'juj and Ma'juj is still alive? Like, did they have children? Or they
Yeah, like I said, again, I know this notion that, Ya'juj and Ma'juj are like some, giants or some monsters. They are people, and hence they can have children. They will have children just like everybody else. And like I said, they will live. Nowadays, they could be anywhere. Some scholars have said they are people from the Orient, from like Oriental people, but they didn't specify which kind. And I don't have time to go over all the narrations. So they're normal people, like I said. And sometimes they could be very good. They could be, righteous people. They could be pious people. At other times, they may not. So again, don't think they're like non-humans, like monsters or giants. They're just people like us. At some time, though, they'll be big in number, and they will wreak havoc on earth. They will cause lots of tribulation and corruption. Yes?
So is the like part of the hadith where it says that Ya'juj and Ma'juj will walk by, I think it was like a river or a lake, and like drink up the whole lake? Tiber. Yeah,
Yes, we mentioned that. Yes, Tabariya, the lake. This will happen at the end of time.
So the numbers are that large.
Yes.
So they are large.
So, but don't mix up the two. Just because their number is large doesn't mean that they're huge, necessarily.
Also another question.
Okay. You're reading from the internet?
Hey, so you said that the hadith, like overall, where it said the Ya'juj and Ma'juj will break out and like, shoot the arrows in the sky, and like Allah will bring down blood and birds will come. So like that hadith overall is pretty inaccurate, right?
It's weak. So the narration is weak. Yes, it is inaccurate.
But wouldn't it still be possible for Ya'juj and Ma'juj to be stuck between walls, considering the fact that like we still haven't like discovered like many species, like all species of animals. We still have like tribal people in the Amazon.
Okay, so the question is, isn't it possible that, well, let's keep Dajjal on the side for a minute. So the question is, isn't it true that we have not discovered all the species? Again, they're people. They're not like some animals. They're people, number one. And is it possible that they're hidden somewhere? Where can they hide? Amazon? But yeah, I mean, to have such a large number, I mean, if it was just like few people, okay, but you have such a large number of people hiding behind a wall in the Amazon. We're not aware of any wall in the Amazon, I don't know. And then some people said, well, maybe they're under earth. That's even more ludicrous. I mean, how can people live under earth for such a long time? They need air, they need food, they need water. I mean, caves.
There's underground water sources.
If you want to believe that, by all means, go ahead and believe it. But all I'm saying is, the evidence for it in the Islamic sources is not strong. It's not authentic. It's okay.
I also heard a story that like a Khalifa after the time of the Prophet sent out a search like at the time where Islam was at its peak and like the Islam was spread across. The Khalifa at the time sent out like a search party for Ya'juj and Ma'juj and like sent out letters to all the kingdoms surrounding it, like with the search party. And then the search party came back and said we find Ya'juj and Ma'juj in a very hazardous area where like a normal person gets sick. And then like the wall was like run down with black and red stripes, and there was like multiple locks, and it was surrounded by like tribal people that didn't speak our language.
Wow.
Have you heard of that?
I think I have. In fact, maybe Ibn Kathir mentions it. But again, this is, even if this is true, first we have to like verify the authenticity of it, because any story that is not in the hadith, obviously it's not going to receive as much attention. So we also have to verify the validity of it. I remember it was at a time of a Khalifa, like you said, but I have to find it first. Maybe next time I'll bring it. Yeah, I have to look for it. I don't want to take time now, but I heard of that story that one of the Khalifas sent some of his, or maybe, I don't know if he sent it on purpose or somebody like a messenger came back with the news. But we have to, I have to look it up and verify it. But like I said, even if it is true, this does not constitute evidence in our Islam. Islam usually rely on the primary sources like Quran and the authentic Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Other, let's call them counters. If you encounter something, I can make up a story. I mean, especially in the old days, it was really hard to keep what is true, what is not true. The hadith received special attention because it was said by the Prophet ﷺ. Yes?
So you mentioned the hadith that was in Muslim Ahmad, that
Yes.
Every time there's a hole in it, and it mentions
Yes.
details about them throwing arrows in the sky and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So is that the same one as the one that mentions, it mentions like the same thing at the end of time, that after Isa alayhi salam kills Dajjal, they will go back to Jabal Tur or something, and they'll be hiding. And then they'll do all of that, and then the worm that bit them in the neck. So is that the same hadith, same narration, or is it different?
That's a very good question. So the brother is asking, we also know of a narration that says that at the end of time, when they appear, and they appear after the killing of the Antichrist, of Ad-Dajjal, right? And people will be scared, so they resort to the mountains. He said there's also a narration that they also shoot the arrows in the sky and they get the bloody arrows back, and then the worms attack their necks and so on. He's asking, is this the same narration? I'm not sure. I have to check it. Yeah, I'm not sure if it is the same narration. There could be another one, but still, that narration would not have them climbing every day and trying to, poke in the wall every day. So those will be separate. So that narration about the end of time is not problematic. It can still happen, whether they're trying to penetrate the wall or not. So I'll check that as well. But in this one, which is actually narrated by Imam Ahmad and Ibn Majah and Tirmidhi, it's mentioned all together in one narration. Yes?
Okay, you know how you said that Jews are not they're not animals, or like they're not animals?
Yes.
Are they a different species in people?
Are they different species in people?
Yeah.
Like we said, some scholars have said since they came from the progeny of Japheth, so they said they are from they are from the like you could say maybe like the Oriental people in general, and they said the Mongols were the Ya'juj Ma'juj at one time, but they could be across history. They could be other descendants from the Oriental people.
I have another question.
Yes.
Never mind, I forgot my question.
It's okay.
Oh no, I remembered it. Are Jews like I heard people say like they have horns and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a hadith actually. Orange or red?
Huh?
Orange. You said orange?
No, the horns, they have horns.
They have horns. That I have not heard. Horns. Yeah, I'm not aware of that.
I've heard someone's told me that.
Yes.
You mentioned horns.
No, that's Dhul-Qarnayn. Dhul-Qarnayn was the righteous king who was going around helping people and all of that. So it is different. Yes. Before. He was way before Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam. Dhul-Qarnayn was way before the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam. Yes.
Okay, so I have two questions. One, so the Gog and Magog, were they before Prophet Muhammad?
Yes.
Also, are they counted as like an invasive species?
As we said, they're people. So by species you mean people. That's
like
true.
invasive people because they literally invaded the
No, like I said, at one time they were invading people, but that doesn't have to be true all the time. Like I said, these people at some time could be very good, very, very righteous, and other times they would be, like you said, invading and killing others. Sure. But at the time of Dhul-Qarnayn, we know they were not good people. This is why people requested that he builds a wall to separate them from everybody else. Yes?
I was to think that that wall was the Great Wall of China, because like the Chinese built it to separate them from the Mongols.
Yeah, some people say it's a great wall of China. However, if you read the description in the Quran, it's the wall that the Dhul-Qarnayn built was made of iron and copper. The wall of China is not made of iron and copper, right? And to say that it separated the Chinese people from the Mongols, we don't know that. Also, I think we know who built the wall of China, and it's not Dhul-Qarnayn. I think it was a Chinese person.
Yeah.
I think it was the emperor at the time.
Yes. But the thing that is obvious, you look at the wall of China, it does not fit the description we see in the Quran. And it's such a huge wall, like long wall, not between two mountains as the Quran describes. Yes?
The Quran, like,
does it show signs, or does it like say itself that like the wall is like physical? Could it be like figurative?
Could the wall be figurative? Well, that specific wall mentioned in Surah Al-Kahf seems to be physical, because all the descriptions seem to be very physical. Like how they brought the fire, how they melted the iron and the copper, and how they poured the copper on top. It all seems very physical. And it's not a problem. It happened a long time ago, and it was physical. Now, it doesn't mean that every reference to Ya'juj and Ma'juj is physical. Like we said, when the Prophet saw a dream, and he said, I saw a hole like this big open from Ya'juj and Ma'juj. That one doesn't have to be physical. It just means like this much harm, this much evil will come from them. So my ummah meaning the Muslims, will see this much harm from Ya'juj and Ma'juj. So this could be figurative. But the original wall, it's physical, no problem. You see the difference? Yes.
So like, do we know where the wall between the Ya'juj and Ma'juj is?
No, we don't.
So it's just,
Like I said, this wall could have crumbled a long time ago. That's one theory, one possibility. Or this wall was covered and we don't know where it is. And it could crumble sometime later. Maybe it will be uncovered, maybe it will be excavated. A lot of the historical sites are discovered later. So maybe it will be discovered in the future. We don't know.
also, like, so in the Quran, it doesn't give you any hints when it's located, like the surrounding.
It doesn't, it doesn't tell you.
So it only says it's between two mountains.
Yes. Over there.
Can you possibly repeat like the dream that you said the Prophet had, like how?
So the dream is actually short. It's very, it says, Zainab was the wife of the Prophet, peace be upon him. She said, the Prophet one time woke up from sleep and his face was red, and he was saying, La ilaha illallah, woe to the Arabs from an evil that has come near, that will come near in the future. Today, this much was opened from the wall of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. فتح اليوم من ردم يأجوج ومأجوج مثل هذه, and he made a circle like this big. So he said, this much has been opened from Ya'juj and Ma'juj. And I'm saying this one, it's a dream, and it does not have to be the physical wall. It could be that this much harm will come from the people of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. And scholars have said this could refer to the attack of the Mongols that came years later, because they attacked Iraq and Syria and all this land. So this one does not have to be physical, it could be figurative. In fact, Ibn Kathir himself, like I said, he said, some people say ذهب إلى أن هذا إشارة إلى فتح أبواب الشر والفتن. He said this is a symbol, it's symbolic, it's a symbol of the opening of the door of evil. So the door of evil, not a physical door, but the door of evil. Yes?
And when you say that he made a circle with his hand, about like this, how much evil will come to the Arab Muslims, is that a lot or a little? Like a circle?
It refers to a little usually because it's a small circle. Like imagine if this much, if this is little and this much happened with the Mongol onslaught, imagine what will happen on the day before the day of judgment, when we'll talk about it next time, when they will really come out. So the damage they will do at the end of time will be much more than that small circle. Yes?
Well, at that time, wouldn't we have like weapons to like? What are they gonna have?
Next time, inshallah. This is next time. So you can come back. Yes?
Do you know the time of Dhul-Qarnayn when is
Do I know the time of Dhul-Qarnayn?
Was it before or after Musa?
Maybe before. I heard, but I have to verify it. It was like 4,000 to 5,000 years ago. So, but I have to get more. I have to look it up more to be more specific. Inshallah. Yes.
I'm super confused. So like,
Why?
okay.
I tried my best.
No. About like the part where like before the day of judgment, like they all come out. Like they all just come out of the most random places, and like it's just one big uprising out of nowhere.
Okay. You want a spoiler for next time?
I need
No?
I need to at least like think about it. I need something to like.
Yes. So think about it this way. They can come from every place. That does not mean that they have to be hidden behind a wall. Let's say you have now countries that they're not attacking us, for example, or attacking, say, the Middle East, whatever it is, right? So you could have had, peace with these people for such a long time, and then for some reason they start attacking. This can happen anytime. I mean, any war that happens like that. You could have a peace treaty with them for a long time, and then they attack you out of the blue.
But is it saying like typically like certain people, or is it just saying like it might just be like two, like let's just say countries, like just two random countries, or just specific people that are
Well, it does say Ya'juj and Ma'juj, but again, like we said, Ya'juj and Ma'juj could be referring to but it could be referring to like one of the descendants of Nuh. So that could be a large number of people, like the Oriental people, for example. But again, I mean, I don't want to the problem here. We have to be careful. It doesn't mean that these people are bad all the time, but they could be, some of them, not all of them. I mean, from any civilization or culture, you could have bad people.
Yeah.
We have to be careful. It's very clear that this is not painting an entire, ethnicity with the same brush. Okay, I think the time is over. We have pizza is here, so Jazakallah khair, thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.